Hey guys, Alice Prince here, and if you're like me, I'm sure that you're reading some pretty wild headlines in the media right now about how the real estate market is all doom and gloom. Now, obviously, we cannot live in a world where the housing markets always go up and only goes up. You're going to see some pullback in pricing and corrections along the way. However, over the long term, meaning 5, 10, 15 years and more, the general trend line has been up. So correction doesn't mean that the sky is falling. So for example, if you bought a home 10 years ago, the average cost of a home back then was $478,000 versus the average cost of a home today, which is $1.2 million in the GTA. So here's a graph from the Toronto Real Estate Board outlining the last 45 years of average home pricing. And keep in mind, in those same 10 years, we had a correction in 2017 after the government intervened with the 16 Fairpoint housing plan, where prices did drop, and they dropped in more areas than others. However, it really depended on your location and asset class. But from 2017 to 2018, prices only declined 4% in the GTA, and in 2008, we had that previous correction when that whole mess happened in the States. Prices overall in the GTA were pretty flat. Now, if we looked at a month-to-month price change back then at those points in time, they would likely freak you out too, and the media had a heyday. So you can paint whatever story you want that fits your narrative when looking at stats with a short-term view. So I think it's really important to really zoom out, breathe, and consider what this means for you long-term. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I want people to remember that at the end of the day, we all need a place to live. Now, whether that means that you own our house or you rent, it's entirely up to you. But remember that someone owns that house, and instead of helping them grow their equity, you can be helping yourself grow yours. The bottom line is that people will always need a home and real estate will always live on. Now, today I want to spend some time and shed some light on what's really going on with home prices and where we're seeing the biggest dips. And like I said before, a correction doesn't mean that things are crashing. A correction simply means that we got way too ahead of ourselves and that things need to come back to reality. And I think that it's safe to say that we can blame the pandemic for all our troubles here. Without the pandemic, interest rates wouldn't be so cheap, and without the pandemic, people wouldn't run to the suburbs for bigger houses and bigger yards, and I can really go on, but I think you get the point. Now, rates are rising and it's becoming more expensive to borrow money, which causes people to become uneasy and hesitant. And so buyers are having to qualify for mortgages at a higher rate, and the purchasing power also goes down, which will obviously have an impact on the market. Now, all of this is going to bring that once super hot, spicy demand that we were seeing down in the market, which will reflect on pricing, and we're seeing that now. But before I jump into what's going on with prices, I just want to go over a few things because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on at once. And so you're going to see some headlines that are going to look a little bit scary, but today I just want to take that opportunity and talk about what that all means. Now, obviously the main core issue here surrounds the rising interest rates in such a short period of time. Now, we started the year off with the Bank of Canada rate at 0.25%. As of today, it's 1.5. Pre-pandemic times is 1.75. So we're very close to where we were before all our lives have changed. So obviously these changes are going to affect a few people, and a few groups are going to be impacted by this. Number one are these sellers that have purchased something without selling their home yet. They likely purchased a home on the assumption that they would get a higher value for their home. They waited to put their home onto the market, and then buyer confidence and affordability changed due to rates changing. More homes became available for sale, which obviously created more options for buyers and competition for sellers. And so the market turned, and now sellers can't sell without significantly reducing their price in order to be able to close on the next one. And now that sale price can set the precedence on the street. Secondly is the buyers who bought at the top of the market and are now having some trouble closing on the purchase of their new home because they're having difficulty maybe qualifying for the mortgage, or the appraisals are coming back low. And something to note is that when appraisals come back low, the buyer is required to pay that difference. So let's say that you purchased a home for $1 million and the lender says, actually in today's market it's worth $900,000, then you're responsible as a buyer to come up with that $100,000 difference. Now, this scenario can obviously be scary because once you have a firm sale of your property and you can't close, the seller can actually go back and sue the buyer for the difference in the sale price if they originally sold for more and then had to resell for a lesser price, as well as keep their deposits. Now, this will also affect people who were over leveraged and have a variable mortgage rate that isn't static, meaning their payments are going to increase as the rates increase. And if those homeowners can no longer keep up, then they will likely need to sell, and that will bring more inventory to the market. On the other hand, I'm also seeing sellers that are waiting and who can afford to wait for the right price and don't mind waiting. I'm still seeing homes sell for prices in line with market value, and not everything is falling off a cliff right now. It really depends on the condition of the home, the location, the housing type, how it's presented, and pricing strategy. Now, we're in a little bit of an awkward market, meaning we're stuck between two markets. The overall market does continue to transition towards a more balanced market, with certain asset types doing better than others. Now, here's a chart that outlines the price changes from January till now, and you can see that February was the peak of the market. Durham Region detached homes have seen the greatest decline of 23% since the peak. Condos have had the least amount of change because they're still considered affordable relative to the other asset classes. They also didn't have a large acceleration during all the craziness that have happened, so they typically won't have the hardest fall. And when comparing this year so far to the same time last year, so meaning January to May of 2022 compared to January to May of 2021, Toronto has seen a 15% year-to-date appreciation. York Region has seen 19%, and Durham has seen 25% year-to-date appreciation. Now, I always find it kind of funny. Real estate has been such a hot topic for so long, and it's morphed into being this idea similar to day trading, where people are so fixated on that daily, weekly, monthly price fluctuation. But really, if you zoomed out of the picture, it gets a lot more clear. And I always get asked of this question, is it a good time to buy? And the answer is, it really depends. It depends on your personal situation, and every situation is going to be so different. So everything has its pros and its cons, obviously, but it really depends on your goals, where you currently are in your life, and overall, if it makes sense to you. But I will leave you with this. There's that one famous line that this too shall pass, and remember that nothing lasts forever, and we will overcome this uncertainty, confusion, and transition. So if you have any questions, want to chat about real estate, want to book a buyer or seller consultation, use the Calendly link below at a time that is convenient for you, and I cannot wait to connect. Ciao for now, and we'll catch you on the next one.